Due to the following CBS School Break special, Magnum PI will not be seen today. It will be broadcast tomorrow in the regular time period.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
If you like comic books, then you definitely like comic art. Visit comicartfans.com to see original comic artworks and custom drawings that people have collected and posted online. Coming soon, Comic Art Fans is hosting an in-person event called the Original Art Expo that will focus on the hobby of collecting original comic art. The Original Art Expo will be held at the Doubletree by Hilton Hotel in Orlando, Florida on January 26th through the 28th, 2024. They will have over 30 exhibitors and 60 comic artists. Spend the weekend in an intimate setting with some of the best creators in the world. Purchase or commission a piece of original comic art. Visit the Comic Art and Illustration Galleries. Attend the Saturday night auction and pizza party and hang out with your fellow comic art enthusiasts. The Original Art Expo is sure to be the world's premier visual storytelling art event, so don't miss out. Go to oa-expo.com to get your tickets today and visit comicartfans.com to see what comic art collecting is all about.
Hi, I'm Alex Ross.
The two pieces are sort of a type. They're both kind of recreations of artwork that existed in the 90s. In fact, this piece here for the Avengers is in most ways a recreation or a tribute to George Perez's poster version from the mid-90s, where he did a shot that featured in it a figure of Captain America that was very similar to what I've done here, positioning of the Vision or positioning of Hawkeye, and I believe a few other elements are very similar to that piece, and it's consciously so. I was building off that inspiration, but I kind of refitted my design to fill out bigger shots of the figures so that I was making a wider composition and getting in a lot of the same characters, but still not quite as many as what George himself did, because George's thing was always to try and get in the maximum amount of content into pieces that he did.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here, and across the pond, it's already evening time out where Ram V is. And good to see you, man. Absolutely. And thanks, as always, for joining me.
Pleasure.
And you're killing it, Ram. I say it every time I talk to you, but truly, you're giving us great new comics and with energy and excitement. And I'm really glad that the comic world has you and your voice. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm having a blast doing it. I was talking to someone else earlier this morning, and I've said that for 2 years now I've been trying to cut down on the amount of work I'm doing, and then accidentally each year I seem to sort of run myself into the ground. And I look back around this time every year and I go like, wait, how much did I do this year? Yeah, I think part of it is that sort of childlike enthusiasm within me, and so. But I also think that it finds its way into my work, so I'm very aware of not curtailing it. So I'm on a blast. Yeah,
that's great, man. That's so great. If you don't mind, we could start with the DC stuff.
Sounds good.
First of all, man, Vigil, you're 6 issues in, or maybe the 6th one is coming.
No, 6 issues are out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is it? I mean, this is a new book, and new books are tough, but I love this. I'm a spy espionage freak, and you know, right away you hit the ground running with these new characters, and also I really appreciate as I get older, it's a big world, and you know, I love, and I mean, you're playing in Gotham City, obviously, and we got Metropolis and all the DC cities in the States, but it is so great to get an international espionage book. And I really love this book's perspective and these new characters. I mean, this is terrific. Is it going well? Is it selling?
Yeah, I mean, it's gone pretty well. It was slated to be a 6-issue series, so we're done with the 6 issues now.
Okay.
But I've also had conversations with my editors and people at DC, and there's definitely intent and enthusiasm to bring them back. Whether they come back as this book, whether they come back as another kind of book, we will have to wait and see. But yeah, I've got plans, so I'm sure they will pan out in the future.
That's great, man. And again, I think I'm glad. Some people want to hold their characters for their own creator-owned books and stuff like that. They don't necessarily want to.
I got a million of them.
Well, that's awesome, man. Because truly, I love these. I love these heroes, and I love.
And also like I wanted to do something. If you not only the characters, but if you look at the concept of the book, it only works within an established universe, within an established superhero universe. The idea that some of your established superheroes / technology are the children of somebody else's mind, and therefore need to be curtailed, in itself only works if it's part of a greater superhero universe. So pitching this book as something that's part of the DCU would only work in the DCU. Like, it wouldn't work if I did this as a creator-owned book.
Understood. No, I understand. Some good comments already from the crowd, which is great. Sean not only says that he loves your work, or I'm not sure if it's a he or a she, excuse me. And Sean also says, I would really love to see you write a Mr. Freeze series the way Tom King is writing Penguin and G. Willow Wilson is writing Ivy.
There may or may not be such a series already being discussed, so we will see.
That sounds great.
Or we won't.
Fair enough. And HR says hello. Very cool. And now my name also says hello. Very excellent. No, it's this is great, man. And truly, I do. I'm always happy to have these international talks. Last week, I talked to Pat Mills, and he was in Spain.
Oh yeah.
And and forgive me, I always forget. I know you're in England. Are you in London?
Yes, I am in London currently. Yeah.
Outstanding. That's fantastic, man. Well, yeah. I hope we get more of these Vigil characters.
And just to go back to the whole international aspect of it.
Yeah.
I love it because one of my biggest pet peeves is when people come and say, oh, all the original stories have been told. And I think part of that is because stories are such a cultural artifact that if you keep digging for stories in the same place, you're going to find the same stories. And so if you really want to expand a universe, then you have to start looking in different places. And once you start doing that, literally quite an entire world of possibilities opens up, and stories can be different, and heroes can have different concerns, and their morality can be more dubious. Like, I don't know that you can grow up in India and afford to have black and white morality, because it is a country that is full of around 1.4 billion shades of gray. So
understood. Yeah, man. No, and again, it's a real education, I think, for dumb Americans like me to learn more about the world.
I suspect you are well traveled, sir.
Hopefully, in March, I'm going to be going to Dublin.
Very nice.
Comic-Con, yeah, so that'll be fun, man. This is great. Okay, so first of all, my CK21 says hi, and then he also says love Rom's take on Swamp Thing. Indeed. And have been devouring everything else he's been writing.
Thank you.
There you go, man. They're coming out for you. This is great. Wait, is there another comment from there? Nope. Okay, good. I think, are we caught up? We are caught up. All right, good deal. Well, also, you're out of the Gotham War now, and your run on Detective continues. I know this is an issue or two back, but this is the start of the new arc.
Yeah, this is the start of the double shipping outlaw arc. That's been going on over the past couple of months, and it has been a blast to write. It's been a blast to see people kind of discover it, or kind of see all the threads that I've been tossing out so far. The great analogy I love talking about is throwing balls out so you can catch them later. So I think better part of the first half of this run was literally just me throwing and I think there's something fascinating in watching myself, certainly as a creative endeavor, now try and make sure I catch all of them and not drop any of them. And that's kind of been the endeavor within this arc. So all the threads are starting to come together. The Batman is about to be hanged, or slash may have been hanged in the last issue. Organs are taking over Gotham. Their influence spreads, and Gotham is about to change into a city that I don't think we've seen before. And I think the arc that follows kind of looks at what that looks/feels like, both within Gotham, and also tracks what happens to Batman. Did he get hanged, or did he survive? So I guess we'll find that out.
That's great, man. No, I love what you and Chip individually are doing with the book. And
I mean, very early on when we were talking about this on a writer's room thing, part of my endeavor, part of my motivation behind the detective art was to do something that was so starkly different from the main book. And so I knew that Chip was going to do this kind of all that action, multiverse hopping Batman story. And so I thought it was a great contrast to then go, great, I'm going to do this intimate, melodramatic, operatic, oh, how I have failed the kind of Batman story. And it's been fascinating to watch people kind of respond to both. Yeah.
That's great, man. All right, now Pumpkin Time is saying that it's been great seeing Ram's wall behind him slowly grow and grow. All right, I'm going to zoom in again, Ram. And what do we see back there?
I mean, here we go. I think that's pretty much everything I've worked on so far.
Hey, that's great, man.
Yeah. Those are all of my books that I've worked on so far. So this is the reason why I find myself doing too much work. Is I have mild visual OCD, and so I have to fill all of these spaces. Only then my brain will be like, okay, you've done enough.
That's outstanding. I noticed the row, the second row from the top, and I don't even know how to say it.
Distillery.
Distillery and everything.
Yeah.
That's the new initiative by Dave Steinberg, Chip Mosier, the former Comixology guys.
Yes, and all of the creators involved. Yeah.
So can we talk about what you're doing for Distillery? What are you doing for them?
I'll be doing, at least I know of, I'll be doing 3 books at Distillery.
Wow.
The first of which I am just starting on. Literally sent document 1 over to my collaborator. I think I can spill the beans and say it's going to be Joelle Jones. So I'm very excited.
Great. Oh, that's excellent.
Very excited to work with Joelle. Her work is absolutely amazing.
She's great.
And then, so hopefully that book will work on, and it'll come out somewhere around middle of next year.
Okay.
And then just around that time, I'll start working on my second book with them, which is going to be with the one and only Lee Garbett. Again, someone whose work I really love, and I'm very excited about that story. And Lee's just like a wonderful person as well. So I'm very excited to do that. And then a third book, which I've just started mulling over. And I think I will keep that one under wraps until we're a bit closer and ready to talk. But again, with a very, very exciting collaborator. So I can't wait to share more.
Okay.
So I'm doing those books there. It's again a uniquely interesting place to work. They want to let you do what you do best and enable you. Like every thought process within that company is tailored towards how can we make things better, easier, cooler, more interesting for you as a creator. Obviously, the creators owning part of the company as well, being invested in that way is something that's very important. Certainly for me going forward, I want to, if I do anything creator owned, like I want to be involved with it in the long term. so yeah, so I mean, it presents that opportunity. I'm working with some of the people like whose work I have admired, Jock, James, Scott, all of these guys are involved. So it really is a wonderful experience. And I think past 2 conventions I've been out since the Devil's Cut was out.
The one shot,
Gone, and then Gone came out, Jock's book, and then Somna recently. And I can say every convention I've been in, the response from people coming up with these books has been absolutely mind blowing.
That sounds great, man. Who's editing the distillery stuff for you?
Well, it's Will Dennis, also like one of my favorite editors on the planet. So yeah,
one of my favorites as well, man. No, that's so great. Great team.
Like I was literally telling Will this. I think after New York Comic Con, I was telling him like, you know, he was being complimentary about my work, and I was like, I don't think you understand. I learned how to make comics reading books that you edited. Like, I learned how to make comics literally from breaking down 100 bullets page by page to like, okay, how does this work? How many words in a balloon? How does pacing work? So yeah, so it's kind of surreal, like working with all of these people going like, wait, only 7-8 years ago, I was reading all your books and going like, oh, one day I will do stuff like this.
That's so great, man. And truly, Will, and Word Balloon viewers and listeners are probably tired of me saying this. You know, for years he was at Vertigo. I'd see him at cons. And DC is very protective of editors. They don't like editors to talk to the press. And that's okay. I understand. But I'd see him and he's like, you know, hey, John, good show, whatever. And I'm like, Will, there's going to come a day when you're not working at Vertigo and you are going to come on Word Balloon and you're going to tell me all these stories of doing 100 Bullets and The Losers and all these great books that you know, Jason Aaron and Azzarello and all these men and women that have made over the years. And finally he has, and now I got to bug him about Distillery. Of course he's working over there. That makes sense. And Mosier too. Mosier.
Yeah, Chip's great. I had a chance to, I mean, I've known him for a couple of years, but I only had the chance to like hang out with him properly over New York and then at Thought Bubble. And just a lovely person to hang out with.
That's cool.
Hilarious.
When you were in Chicago, did you have a chance to hang with Azzarello? Steph was at ALA with us.
I saw Steph briefly. Last time I met Brian was at Orlando a couple of years ago. It just so happens we haven't met. But again, there he was very lovely. He said, your Swamp Thing is the only Big 2 book I'm picking up from month to month. So I was like, okay, cool. Like Brian Azzarello compliments me randomly while I'm walking through Orlando MegaCon. Must be doing something all right.
That's outstanding. Oh yeah, here it is. Chemdog said too, he's glad to see your Swamp Thing join the Titans.
Yeah, great. Like people always ask me, you know, about this, like, do you feel strongly about your characters being used one way or that way? I'm like, they're not my characters. Like yes, I created them, but to me these are genuinely stories, and the great pleasure of stories is to see someone else take something, you know, take a thread from yours and say, cool, I'm going to run with this. So I think it's been great. Very excited to see him join the Titans as well. Tom has been sort of DMing me and checking things with me. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they're doing with it.
That's great, man. No. And you know, hey, not everyone feels that way, but that is the right idea.
I understand, but I can't grapple with it. Like,
well,
like there's way too many serious things in the world to be concerned about. Like, I'm concerned about people not taking the car that I own, not concerned about people using my characters.
No, but again, it's the collective, and yeah, I think it's one of the high compliments of, wow, this character that I created, you know, Writer X is using it, Tom Taylor is using it. That's wonderful.
Yeah, same thing. Like I created Father Valley in Catwoman, and then Dan Waters made him like a recurring character in his Azrael run, and it completely made sense. So that's part of the joy of working in comics to me.
That's excellent. Comic Boom. Barbados played a role in your Detective Comics run. Do you see him as the devil or more as a darker aspect and protector of Batman's darkness? Interesting.
if I knew the answer to that in like a very one sentence, I can articulate this, there would be no reason for me to write my detective run. I think the point is to grapple with this idea. Is he a devil? Is he just part of Bruce's? And I think the beauty of of a good story is that it grapples with an idea, but doesn't quite give you an answer. Like, I think the answer is whatever you think the answer is.
That's great, man. Let's see here. Pumpkin Time, the Kaiju series looks phenomenal. The artist absolutely sold it. Well, which is the Kaiju series, Ron?
That's Dawn Runner. It's going to be out at Dark Horse. And Evan Cagle, who does all the covers on Detective Comics, by the way, is doing interiors for it. There should be preview pages out soonish, and they are absolutely mind-blowing. Like, people are gonna look at Evan's pages and they're gonna realize, like, wait, why isn't this person drawing everything? Yeah, he is just that good. Absolutely a master. And I think, yeah, I'm very excited for people to see what we've done in the book.
When does this come out, Dawn Runner?
This comes out in March of next year.
Okay, very cool. So
relatively soon. Get your orders in, plug, all of that. I think it goes on FOC sometime in Jan. So definitely, call your retailers, let them know you'd like the book.
Well, kaijus are certainly part of the current conversation, not only with Godzilla -1 coming out.
But, I saw them jogging together.
I don't know if you have Apple TV, but I'm watching Monarch as well, the action co-creation. And man, I'm loving it. And I'll be honest, Ron, I'm an old school kaiju guy. And I want to talk to Jerry Duggan and Scott Collins too about their current kaiju book too. And I'm always willing to give like new stuff a chance. But I don't know why, but I was kind of running cold on the new Godzilla movies and the new King Kong movies. And then Monarch came out, and I'm like, all right, well, Matt created it, and I really want to, root for Matt, so I'll watch it. I'm blown away. I'm loving Monarch.
I haven't seen it. You're right. I don't have Apple TV, but I'll check it out now. I think people tend to forget sometimes that the stories of these giant, infallible, massive, planet-sized creatures is still meant to be stories about you and me. Still meant to be stories about us. And I think the moment a story kind of veers away from the moment King Kong becomes about the giant, ape rampaging through a town and doesn't become about, but he quietens down when he sees her in the palm of his hand.
Get it?
The moment the film becomes more about the special effects and less about the characters and what they feel for each other.
There you go.
Yeah.
100%, man. And that's the cool thing about Monarch. Monarch almost has like a Lost vibe to it in the best way too, where they're dealing with the problem at hand. And then in flashbacks, we're being informed about the characters and stuff. It's a good slow burn. I'm really enjoying it.
Right.
My CK21 wants to know who your favorite kaiju is.
Mothra. It's the first time I remember watching a movie and just being like blown away about like this creature, but also love the idea that I don't know if it's the right movie. I don't know what they're called because I'm not like a big buff of knowing the lore, but I was just fascinated that it was these like three ladies who would sing this song that would wake him. Love it.
That was my attitude because I'm like, all right, I've seen Godzilla. That's cool. What's with the girls?
It's great. I love it.
That's fantastic, man. You're killing me. All right, and Fear Not Caesar. We already covered this, but he's enjoyed The Vigil as well. Any chance to see them in the near future? Ron says yes.
Yes. That's why the last issue ends with The Vigil will return.
We're all excited, man. And Sean wants to know, he would love to see you do an X book.
Yeah, I mean, again, the X-Men is a franchise that I grew up with, that I've loved in a lot of ways, and it also speaks to a lot of things that I feel very strongly about, immigration, othering, all of that. So one day, but I'm sure DC are watching that exclusive contract I signed with them. So not anytime soon.
Fair enough. And Pumpkin Time, mentioning Marvel, said they had a great time with your Carnage run. How was it co-writing, and how was that experience colored working with Dan Watters?
Well, I did actually co-write the Carnage run. The Carnage run was just me. The run that I co-wrote was Venom with Al Ewing. And that was, Al's just fantastic. Hopefully Al and I are doing more things together. Some of them in comics, some of them outside of comics. But yeah, no, experience of working with Al was fantastic. It's the reason I joined that book. I think, frankly, the reason I left was because there were too many books on my plate, and I kind of felt like I wasn't having fun with those books in a lot of ways. The editorial direction sometimes was different from what I wanted to do. So I'm also pragmatic enough to know okay, maybe we don't vibe, so I need to back out of these. And I did, but I'm proud of the issues that we did. I'm glad so many people enjoyed the runs. I think Carnage in particular, there were a lot of naysayers with the whole oh no, it's not Cletus Cassidy. But we had a plan. Unfortunately, we didn't bring that full circle, but we had a plan.
Okay. Caesar would also, and I would love to see this as well, you go on an Authority book. That would be cool.
Like I said, the Vigil will return. Dun, dun, dun.
Interesting. Fantastic. Good to hear. Good to hear. Also, man, I didn't realize, I saw you retweet, that we were going to be talking today, and a couple of these new covers. These, I mean, I'm intrigued just by the cover alone, and I want to get into that. I know you're the writer, but let's talk. Now, this is the one hand.
Yep, that's right.
And
then the next cover of this totally, possibly unconnected, maybe connected book is The Six Fingers, which is written by Dan Watters and Sumit Kumar. My story, the one hand which I'm writing, is the story of a detective, kind of hard-boiled detective in the city called Neo Novena, and he's retiring. And on the day of his retirement, he finds out that a serial killer that he put away 12 years ago, the same kinds of murders are happening again. And this has happened before. So he's put away a serial killer, he put away a copycat, and now a third copycat? Surely not. So he kind of gets pulled back into okay, one last time. So that's the story. That's the story that I follow. And then Dan is writing this book called The Six Fingers, which is about a young archaeology student with a missing father. He's been looking for his father for years, very unstable mentally as well. And he has these blackouts. And then on one occasion, he remembers, murdering someone in this extremely ritual fashion. And he has no idea why he did it, and why he did it that way. And Dan starts following that story down the path that it goes. Obviously, if you read both books, you get a third story that exists in between these two, if you will.
That's great, man. You telegraphed this to me when we saw each other at ALA. So has this begun? When is this start?
It comes out in February. Issue 1 of mine comes out, I believe, second week of Feb. Issue 1 of Dan's comes out in the last week. Issue 2 of mine will come out in March. Issue 2 of Dan's will come out at the end of March. So we're doing this kind of 1 of mine, 1 of Dan's, 2 of mine, 2 of Dan's, 3 of mine, 3 of Dan's. And they're meant to be read in that order. And I think what's fascinating is they are 2 separate books, in that if you read all 5 of my issues one after the other, you will get a cogent story. And if you read all 5 of Dan's one after the other, you'll get a cogent story. But the moment you put them together, you realize that every issue reframes what you thought was true from reading the other book. So I'm very excited for people to see it. Will Dennis is editing this one as well. When I pitched this to Will, his reaction was, in 22 years of making comics, no one's ever pitched an idea like this to me. You are either crazy or brilliant. We'll find out which one.
Well, both are these eye-catching covers as well.
Yeah. This is Lawrence Campbell, obviously, who's doing the book with me. That one is Sumit Kumar, who's doing the book with Dan. And then I don't know if people see this or have seen the covers, but the B cover to Dan's book is the second half of this cover from Lawrence. And the B cover to my book is the second half of the yellow cover from Sumit and Dan.
Wow.
So yeah, you can see the ways in which the books kind of connect with each other, if you will. And then obviously Tom Mueller doing design across both books, Aditya doing lettering across both books, Lee Lowridge doing coloring across both. So
wow. All right, that's an A-list team, man. Well, now, and really, you're intriguing me. I got to not only follow up with you on these books, but obviously Dan as well.
Yeah, please.
This sounds great, man. And I can't wait to dive into it. And same goes for Dawn Runner as well.
Yeah. Very excited about that one. You know, like I was saying, yes, it's mechs and kaijus. Yes, it's what everyone knows. But it's also a ghost story. It's also a romance story. It's also weirdly a time travel story. So I'm kind of excited for people to go like, okay, I know this framework, and then be surprised by where it actually goes. So
that sounds, again, the way you describe it, it really sounds intriguing, and I can't wait to dive more into this. This sounds great. Vengeance wants to know, are you a fan of the New Gods? Would you consider doing a run on them?
I am a fan of the New Gods, and you should stay tuned.
Wow. All right, excellent. Now, ChemDog makes a kaiju film recommendation. I don't know this film, the 1966 film. I'm assuming it's Damien. I'm not really sure.
No, Daimajin. I'm assuming it's
Daimajin, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I don't know this one. Do you know this movie?
No. I haven't seen it, but I'm taking recommendations. So Monarch and Daimajin. So
there you go, man. Absolutely. Hilarious. And my CK21 would love to see you on a Hulk book. Again,
one day.
There you go. Yeah, one day.
I genuinely do have an absolute fantastic time writing all of these characters. So Marvel knows what kinds of books I'd like to do. But yeah, for now, focused on all of the toys in the DC play chest.
But again, it's great to see not only, you working specifically in a DC universe or, as you did with Marvel, but again, touching on these genres. And I'm thrilled with your point of view on these, because it really, everyone has a unique point of view, but you're really, you're really coming with ideas that I think take these established genres. Ram, I always recommend these Savage Shores to people. It really, I think of all your books, it was the first that really hit me. And I'm like, you got to see this because it's classic vampire, but a totally different perspective and a totally different outcome because of that perspective. And it's great. So, I am thrilled that you're doing this stuff. Alex Sanchez, any timetable on when your next big DC book will be announced? If you do have anything worked on, wink, wink. Well, it sounds like he does. He's definitely.
Yeah. There will be a couple of announcements, hopefully sort of early Q1/Q2 of next year. But also you have to understand, my detective run is a long run. And I think it ends with 1089, and I'm writing issue 1080. Yeah, I'm writing issue 1083 right now. So there's 6 more issues to write before I start working on anything else.
No, that is so great. And I'm really glad because, again, I really appreciate the flavors of both Chip's Batman book, your detective book. Overture was so great of a story.
Yeah,
and again, it gets further exploited in is it called The Outlaw? Is that the Batman Outlaw?
Yeah, this is all part of the entire thing collected is called Nocturne. And so there will be, after Outlaw is an arc called The Elegy of Sand, which is 3 issues. I think Riccardo Federici and Stefano Raffaelli on art. So absolutely mind-blowing to look at. And then there will be 2 more arcs after that. and I don't know that I can announce who's working on me with it, but they will be brilliant.
They man, I'll tell you, you've really been getting great artists as well.
Yeah. I mean, Ivan Reis, Rafael Albuquerque, Jason Sean Alexander, Stefano. Yeah, I've absolutely had my pick of fantastic collaborators.
Stanley, I bet I already know the answers, and I think you probably do too, Stanley. Would Rom ever want to work in TV or movies? I could see your stuff. Just again, your vibe translating well into film and TV.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on a couple of animated things. I've been working on them for about a year. Layla Starr hopefully is on its way, and so we shall see what role I have to play in that.
That sounds great. Ram, I always ask everybody, and there are very few people that are interested in this storytelling form, but audio. Would you ever want to do pure audio?
Yes. Like I said, like I have zero limitations in my head in terms of like medium or genre. I would love to do absolutely everything. In fact, just a couple of, I think for the past 3 or 4 months, I've been putting together a small collective of creators who are going to make this thing with no motivation for publishing or profit or anything, because I don't know in what form it exists yet. But we're going to get together. It's going to be partly illustrated, partly animated, partly audio, partly video.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see when it comes together, but it will be cool. And I can say, like, Al said he would work with me on that one, but not for his writing, because if anyone's actually ever heard Al Ewing speak, the man's voice is tremendous.
I haven't had him on Word Balloon yet. He, I think he did an online show when we were doing COVID online.
Yeah, if you ever get the chance, just listen to him speak. He's got like a tremendous baritone voice.
I'd love to have him on because, my God, I mean, again, I'm a big fan of all of his writing as well, starting with the Hulk, but everything he's done has just been great. Vengeance says his hot take is Ram V's work should be turned into an anime. I can see that. I can see a lot of your stuff translating well in anime. That'd be great.
Yeah. And, I'm a big fan of the genre as well. Part of my love of storytelling and my vibe kind of comes from early years spent watching, Cowboy Bebop and
love that one,
Grave of the Fireflies and yeah, a lot of the classic ones, Rurouni Kenshin and all of that. So, even the Vigil were partly inspired by an anime called Darker Than Black. So, I'm definitely a child of the anime era.
That's excellent. Hey, Joe Bolvie is joining us. How you doing, Joe? He says,
hey, Joe.
He says Al's voice sounds like Optimus Prime's grandfather.
Al's voice sounds like it might shake a thing or two loose in Optimus Prime's body.
Hey, what just fell off of me? Wait a minute. That's
why is this vibrating? Oh, Al Ewing is talking.
That's great. And truly, man, you see, the States are finally warming up a little to audio. I mean, it's never left the UK. Right. And I don't know if India has a lot of audio storytelling and stuff as far as, audio.
I mean, they have podcasts. They've got lots of storytelling podcasts.
Okay.
And you have to understand, because India was slower to open up to Western broadcasting and technology. The radio was a hugely strong presence in India well into the years after television came in. And so that I remember radio taglines. You can, and I'm 42 now, but for me to remember like the intro to radio shows and the words they would say while starting the broadcast, that means radio was around for a much longer time. Yeah.
I just, someone was very nice and interviewed me in my broadcast history. And I always say, growing up, I didn't have, there was a nostalgia channel that played old radio dramas from the 30s, 40s, and 50s and stuff. Yeah. But when I would stay up late at night, I would listen to the radio, and a lot of it was just news. And it's the same excitement that I had for that. I think modern people have for especially when the internet was brand new, because it was like, wow, there are people out there reporting the world right now at 2:00 in the morning or whatever. And that was just like, wow, there's the whole world coming at me right now. And I mean, and then luckily our public radio stations will play BBC radio, and we'll get more of a world view of what's going on beyond.
Have you ever been on the BBC Sounds website?
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
Just phenomenal treasure trove of broadcasting history.
100%, man. No, and again, I love that and it certainly does seem like it's everywhere else but the States, that audio drama never went away. So what you told me about India, it really, I mean, God, there's one of my favorite shows. It's a Scottish show, and it's kind of a very hardcore police procedural, P Division Code 401.
Oh, yeah. I know P Division, yeah.
Oh, there you go, man, yeah. And I mean, it was. And I mean, these are like real, like, grisly kind of murders that they're investigating and stuff. And it's like, oh, my God, this is fantastic.
But even contemporary experiences, I thought the Sandman audible production was fantastic.
Absolutely.
It was brilliant, well done. And then more recently, when I was writing this animation script, I kind of said, okay, I've got a 2.5-year-old at home, and I get distracted very easily. So I'm gonna take a few days, head off to the beach at Brighton, and then sit in a hotel and write. So I booked a room, went there, and wrote. And it is a writer's hotel. So all they have in your room is literally a desk, a chair, a lamp, and a bed. And the only thing they have there is a small, tiny radio on the desk. No TV, nothing. And the radio just happened to be tuned to Jazz FM. So I went into that room, started writing, turned on the radio, heard jazz playing. I don't think I turned that thing off for like, I don't know. Yeah, 72 hours straight.
No, when I try to write, I prefer jazz instrumental as well.
Yeah.
Because again, I love audio drama and stuff, and I would imagine it's the same for you in terms of if you're listening to people talking, you really, you can't concentrate on what you're writing.
Yeah. I have this weird thing. I will play film, turn the volume all the way down, and turn on subtitles while I'm working. I've got a little tiny projector. You can't see it because it's plugged in. But I had a tiny projector that will just project onto the ceiling of where I am. So if I sort of get bogged down with the writing, all I have to do is like lean back and look up, and there's like a film playing up on my ceiling that I will look at. And usually like about 10 minutes of staring at that, and it'll clear up any writer's block. So
that's great. Now, forgive me. Did you say you saw Godzilla -1?
-1? No, I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, it just dropped in the States last weekend and stuff.
Right.
And yeah,
I haven't kept up with film releases in a while. I mean, I watched them all, but yeah, I just watch them whenever I can get to them. Yeah.
My buddy likes to buy physical media, and he will give me the digital inserts.
Oh, right.
So a lot of times I'll get those. And I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet in the theater, but he just gave me the digital code, so I'll be watching that at some point this week.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a sucker for any 20th century history. To me, I think is
right. I mean, I love a lot of what Chris Nolan does with his films as well.
Certainly.
So, and I've always loved more of his intimate character stories rather than sort of the big concept sci-fi stuff. And I think for me, the perfect intersection of those two was Inception. It was intimate, but also big sci-fi. I'm kind of glad to see him kind of return to that intimacy with Oppenheimer. So
agreed.
I haven't watched it yet either, but I will be. Yeah.
There you go. Ritesh Babu says we need Ram to write more books rooted in psychogeography.
My third distillery book will be very much of that sort. So
now, all right, Layman.
about 2 years, 2 years away.
All right, fair enough. We'll wait. It's all right. So, what example of your work, and tell me what psychogeography is?
Psychogeography is where the characters, their personalities, the stories that they tell themselves are rooted in place, in a sense of place. So These Savage Shores, I would argue, is a book that contends with psychogeography, certainly. Paradiso is probably my most overt psychogeographical book. Detective, the entire run, certainly, and a lot of Batman stuff, because it is so heavily rooted in the idea of Gotham. Cities as living storytelling entities. So place as a living storytelling entity.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And now that you say that, no, I see it in both Savage Shores and certainly, the detective run, definitely, and stuff. Yeah. No, that's great, man. Well, and also it's so great that they're playing with this in Detective. What you're doing in Detective with Batman and with Gotham in general. And I see good experimentation with Batman and with Superman. In some cases, the lead books, and it's because I would say that certainly and especially earlier in Philip Johnston's run on Action, we really got into Superman's head. We had him out, in the galaxy. I also love, and I'll be talking to him soon.
I love Philip. I love Philip. His work is amazing.
Yeah.
His work has always been amazing. I think the first time I didn't know him at all, I read Last Sons of America, which he did with Boom. I think.
Yeah, Boom.
That was my first story that I read by him, and I was immediately like, okay, this guy's got chops. He knows what he's doing. And yeah, ever since, like, his work has just been fantastic, and I've told him that. Yeah.
No, sweetheart of a guy too. No, great guy. I'm excited, and I'm curious. I mean, I'm loving his Hulk run. That's very in a different way from Al's.
Sure. But I also love seeing the influence, because he's a musician as well.
Yes.
So I love seeing the influence of songwriting and music in his books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fantastic to watch.
That's awesome, man. Are you a Doctor Who person?
I am a Doctor Who person. I wouldn't call myself a Doctor Who expert, but I am a Doctor Who person, sure.
Are you watching the new specials?
I haven't kept up with it, but I've watched a lot of it. I have watched significant portions of it to know what all the obscure references are. So
sure, that's cool. Well, like I said, I just had Pat Mills on, and they took his old comic book story and made it.
Yeah. I saw a video of them turning that into the set for the new season. So yeah,
very impressive. Absolutely, man. Let's see here. I'm looking at the other questions and stuff. I think we've covered everything pretty well. All I could say, Ram, is really I'm excited about what's coming up.
I think we should talk about Rare Flavors.
Please let's talk about Rare Flavors. I'm sorry. No, I knew I was forgetting something.
No,
Rare Flavors.
It's because I couldn't fit it into that tweet with all the covers, so I had to tweet about it after. Okay. And so we can't forget that one. No, it's food and comics. Like, I've done plays and comics, I've done music and comics, and so it was very exciting to do food and comics. I've written about 3/4 of the way through the entire thing, so two more issues left, and it's been a pleasure again working with Philippe and Darren, the same guys who did Lila Star with me. That book's been a joy to write, and it's one of those weird things, like you get a weird idea in your head, like, I think recipes can work as storytelling, and you want to execute it in a certain way, and you don't know if it's going to work until, because it's one of those things, right? You can get so far into your own head that you have no idea how to get a objective view of whether what you did worked or not, and to see the number of people who've come up and been like, the recipes are story is fantastic to watch. Yeah.
That's cool. Were you inspired by any manga? Because I know, again, the Japanese always, like, every genre is, there are golf mangas, there are mangas, and
like,
I know
very strangely, I know this whole genre exists. Very strangely, I have never read a food manga.
Okay.
The only reason I know they exist is because I read Way of the House Husband, which is, I would say, borderline food manga in some ways, but yeah, but the whole genre existing, like, I knew of it, just hadn't read it. So as far as I'm concerned, this idea is very original to me.
Well, and sometimes that's how you have to approach it. That's something I know. Tim Seeley, when he was doing Hack Slash, and he had this teenage girl monster hunter and stuff, he's like, I'm staying away from Buffy because I don't want to get influenced by that.
See, I don't necessarily do that. Like, I will actually go and pick up things and read things that are adjacent to what I'm doing. It's just, for whatever reason, the thought never crossed my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rare Flavors, who's putting that out?
Rare Flavors is from Boom.
Okay.
And 3 issues are already third issue comes out this month on the 20th. Yeah, and then there's 3 more to go after that. And yeah, in terms of influence, is certainly very overtly influenced by Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, which was the documentary show he did.
Certainly.
And then also very influenced by Matt Sedane's Hunters and Collectors, which is a novel that I recommend to people. I love it. Just bizarre sci-fi, but food related.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I would urge you to check it out. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. Again, to do with Indian mythology and Indian food, which is something that I've been very passionate about. So glad to see it sort of rings a bell with people.
Rob, I'm so bummed. My favorite Indian restaurant in Chicago, Paprika, has became a victim to COVID, and I was so bummed to see it because really it's the best Indian food I've had in the city and stuff. And we've got others, and I'm sure I'll find a new favorite.
Sure.
Place. And I wish I could tell you some of my favorite dishes. I can't. I always have my friends guide me and say, "Oh no, you'll like this." I'm like, "All right, fine, that's cool." But no, that was
actually part of the motivation for this book, and maybe I'm going to come off as like some kind of food snob. Is part of my motivation for this is ever since I moved to the UK, my friends here are always like, "We're going to take you to the best, most authentic Indian restaurant in town," and I'm like, "Great, let's do it." I've been to, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 of these, maybe found 2 that are even remotely authentic. And so part of my motivation was like, so many people eat Indian food, but I don't think enough people understand or know Indian food. Like, you haven't had Indian food until you have had it in the place where it was made, the way it was made by those people, and understand why it tastes the way it tastes. I think most of the Indian food available across the world is very tempered, sanitized version of what that is supposed to be.
I understand, man. I get snobby, not about my own people's food, Greek food, because I can find decent Greek food. Yeah. But coming from Chicago, where we really got Italian food really, really early. I mean, like turn of the century, early 1900s. And when you go to other parts of the country, and whether it's just pure Italian food or eat really pizza, it's like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing. I gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, and also, like, I think to add to that, I think largely European palates and European food is tailored around being comforting.
Sure.
And it is inoffensive to the palate in a lot of ways. I can't say that about a lot of Indian, Asian food. Some of those flavors are meant to shock you. They are meant to offend the palate. They are meant to make your brain go like, what? and that's part of the food, and that's part of the culture. And what has happened is when that food gets exported, people go like, oh, how can I get the most number of people to eat this? Let
100%.
me turn it into something that has no hard edges, that doesn't say anything. It's just this kind of creamy, salty mush. And what it really should be is you should be eating this thing, and then you should be stopping mid-conversation and going like, what was that? That, I feel like proper Indian food does that.
I get it. No, a YouTube buddy of mine, Rob Burnett, says the same thing. And it is that, and this was Bourdain's whole reason of being as well. And God, I'm so bummed that he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you really do understand a culture better when you sit down and break bread with them and really experience.
I think food is the first language.
Agreed.
Like, even when you don't know somebody else's language, if you sat down, and you don't even have to eat, just watch how they make their food and how they eat their food and how they share their food, and that will tell you more about a culture than reading entire books on them. So
I'm with you, man. No, I hear you, and that's a great reason to come up with your book. I think that's excellent.
In context to this, I have a writer friend who I took to Goa a few years ago, and I said, I'm going to give you proper, authentic Indian food. But then we were also going to be on this beach in Goa, and we were going to be like really roughing it. I think we spent a week there, and it cost us something like 30 pounds in total for food and drink and stay all included. So we were really roughing it. And I said, look, you're going to go to Goa. I'm going to give you this food, but I can't guarantee that it will be safe for your stomach. And this friend turns around to me. I'm so proud of him for this. And he says, but will it be worth it? And I'm like, yes, you have come to me in the right spirit, son.
That's beautiful, man. That's outstanding. Here, Ritesh is ready to pitch your Food Network show, Ram V's Food Network show, where he goes around London and critiques idlis and dosas. I'm assuming are
idlis and dosas.
Two poor attempts. I'm assuming it.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
The only thing I have to say to that is, the only thing missing is someone with a camera, because I already do that. The rest of it I already do.
I get it. No, that's great, man. Because I'm the same way. I don't know if you know Julie and Shauna Benson, if you've met them yet.
I haven't.
They've written DC books for a time and other comics. They're primarily TV writers, and they're from downstate Illinois. The state that I'm in, and I went to school near where they grew up, and there's an Italian restaurant down there called Avanti's, and they adore it. And I'm like, oh, guys. And I'm merciless. I'm like, it's dog food. It is horrible compared to good Italian food you can get in New York or Chicago. I'm like, no, man, no. And I do. I know I break their hearts. They're like, but John, we love it. Please don't be mean. I'm like, I know. I'm sorry. All right. I can't help it. But no,
I will wait outside while you finish your meal.
Exactly. Pretty much, man. Or, yeah, exactly. I'll find something to eat at 7-Eleven. I'm not staying with you here. This is not good. So, yeah, no, I get it, dude. Oh, my God, that's awesome. Oh, and Stanley wanted to know, and I'd love to know this. I'll admit I'm a massive Star Trek fan, but Stanley wants to know if you'd ever want to write Star Trek or Star Wars.
Star Trek, yes. Star Wars.
Okay.
I loved the first three movies, and then I've just never been a Star Wars person after that. Star Trek, I think, fundamentally, and I explained this to someone else while I was pitching something else to them. I said, Star Wars is interested in conflict in space. Even its discoveries of new things are sidelined because somebody has to fight somebody. Star Trek was like, yes, we fight people, but isn't space amazing? And I think they're products of their time. Because Star Trek came out at a point where we were still in the process of understanding a lot of the science that involved space travel and
I agree.
And whatnot. And so we were still enamored by the romance and the possibility of what existed out there. And I think Star Wars came at a time where we realized our limitations in terms of what we could do with space travel. And so it became interested with colonizing it. So I love the discovering space aspect. I'm not sure I love the colonizing space aspect.
I respect that, man. No, and I think you got it. Definitely. Are you watching any of the new, and again, I know you're not caught up, but are you watching any of the new Star Trek product?
I did. I got an invite, strangely, to the premiere of Picard, which I know is written by one of my favorite writers as well. Michael Chabon wrote and showran that. And so I did watch a couple of seasons of Picard. I haven't kept up with all of it, largely because my media consumption is now either very obscure things or popular things long after they've stopped being popular. So, but yeah, no, I have kept up with some of that. I think the recent TV shows, I watched a few episodes of it, but didn't really get into it that much. But I'm fascinated by this idea of like exploring space, encountering things that reframe your understanding of who am I? I'm a human being. I come from Earth. Like, okay, let's reframe that. Let's make you ask interesting questions about that.
I wish you had Apple, because I think by the way, I love that the kids laughing in the background. That's adorable.
Can you hear that? Okay,
yeah, that's all right. No. Seriously, I that's real life, man. I welcome that during podcasts. I think it's terrific.
Hang on a second. I think he's getting louder now. Let me go ship that.
Put out the fire. Down. It's all right. Absolutely, Rob. No, this is great. Well, this will give me an opportunity again, everyone, to share with some of the great books. So Vigil wrapped up. You got to read it. If you haven't read it, it's just outstanding. Yeah, right, that's cool. How old's your baby, buddy?
Yeah, he's 2.5. He's picking up a vocabulary now, and so just getting to that point where he is not shy about voicing what he wants. So he will stand downstairs, which is what he's doing right now. He'll stand downstairs. My office is in the attic, or in the loft, if you will, and so he will stand downstairs and just go, "Daddy, come down." Oh. Daddy, come down, for like forever.
That's got to be great to hear, man. That's
great.
What's his name?
His name is Rihan.
Rihan, lovely. That's fantastic, man. I started to say, I'm sorry you don't have Apple, because their space show For All Mankind is just mind blowing, and it's this alternate history. If you don't know that the Russians beat the Americans to the moon. And everything that happens after that as a consequence of that. So the timeline absolutely changes. And the Soviets and the US build moon bases in the 70s. And women joined the space program in the US 10 years earlier, and the impact in that. It's so, I mean, just the ripple effect is just so great.
I will check it out. That sounds fascinating. Yeah.
There you go, man. Absolutely. Well, I started going through the books as you were going to take care of your son. But truly, man, everyone, if you haven't read The Vigil, it is so great. And it is so great to see new characters being introduced to the DC universe and just hit the ground running with really, really great, a great espionage story. I can't recommend it enough. And Batman Outlaws has just started in Detective Comics. It's part of Rom's long magnum opus of detective. This is the second story, but it's killing it. And man, intriguing stuff coming from Image, whether it's One Hand by Rom and by Dan Waters, Six Fingers and Company. The two books are going to be interlinked. And we mentioned, of course, Dawn Runner as well, which is mid run over at or no, this is the one that's still coming.
No, it starts in March.
Okay, still coming from Dark Horse. And excuse me, the food book from Boom.
Yes, Rare Flavors.
Rare Flavors is mid story. So all great stuff from Ron V, man, and you're killing it, like I say.
I appreciate it, John.
Hey, man, truly, and I love talking to you. And when One Hand and Six Fingers get up and running, we
I think it'll be great. Yeah, I think it'll be great to talk about it again. One of those books that I think just engenders conversation. So yeah.
Well, again, man, you're taking these genres, you're putting your own spin on them, and you're giving them fresh life. And I think that's exactly the job of a good writer, because come on, man. We've had several hundred years of some of these genres, and you're putting new spins on them, and I think that's intriguing and worth everybody's attention. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Well, I hope to see you soon, and thank you for talking today. Tonight I'm going to do a kind of a book club thing with another podcast, and it will be on the Word Balloon channel. Rom will be fast asleep. This will be midnight, mid.
Oh, right. Okay.
Early night.
Your time. Yeah.
And we're going to be discussing the Justice Society arc, Thy Kingdom Come, that Jeff Johns, David Eaglesham, and Alex Ross did a few years ago, where the Kingdom Come Superman comes through a wormhole and all of a sudden finds himself on Earth 1 with the JSA and how they all interact together. It's a great story. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be recording with Jason Fabik and Jeff Johns about Ghost Machine, their new publishing initiative. And so I'll give people a chance to ask questions, and Jeff and I will talk. So that'll be fun. And trying to think if there is who else. I think that's it. I think that's it right now for Word Balloon Live this week. So I hope everybody will join us. I'm glad you joined us this afternoon and evening to talk to Ram and ask some great questions. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.